The odes, pieces of music, and other works are not successful, then the tragedy. When the emperor ordered the minister of the interior to collect everything which had appeared on the occasion of his coronation, because it is proper that gifts should be made to the authors according to the excellence of their work. Arnaud, head of the Department of Letters, occupied himself in making notes which were always the same. Excellent intentions, or as a variation, intentions excellent. The only works of distinction he found were the Latin verses of Monsieur Crusset, headmaster of the Britannie Française et Sincere. An ingenious idea skillfully developed, a work worthy of remark. The ode of Monsieur Tanguy de Désert, assistant judge of the criminal court, Finistère. Some talented ideas. The Treseville of Monsieur Bonnier, a cantata given at the banquet of the city of Paris, and the Fasti of Monsieur Petit Vidal, another official of the city, of the 40 works collected in print or manuscript, to which a dozen more might have been added. For there was the coronation of the Emperor Napoleon and the Empress Josephine by Monsieur Lavey of the Lyon Academy, and ode by Joseph Martin, ex-steward of the military hospitals, another by Monsieur Pauvert, clerk of the Council of Revision at the Châtelet, a third by Monsieur Riviere, chaplain of the grammar school at Rennes, the homage of a father of a family by Monsieur Lagnac, a counselor at law at Quimper, a Sapphic ode by Madame Marietti Sardi, verses by Monsieur Villeneuve, professor of Brownsburg, Monsieur Manzar Picolet, an artisan, Monsieur Ciseaux, ex-member of the criminal tribunal of the Gironde, Monsieur Lacroix, president of the administrative committee of the civil hospital at Bourgogne, Monsieur Boucher of Saint-Quentin, Monsieur Le Marchand, employee of the council of liquidation, Abbé Ray of Toulouse, Nougare, that Nougare who for 20 years had uncovered the pages of the Muses' Almanac, the inevitable Maron pastor and poet, and these glorious unknown Antoine Caillot, Uzan the Younger, the rest is oblivion. Of all these 10 were found to possess some talent, to which were added some coarse songs and prose summaries of life Bonaparte. Everywhere was wanting such enthusiasm as finds vent in vigorous and lasting works, in which the poet, in touch with the nation, nobly embodies the ideas that float around him. Such enthusiasm existed at the time of the birth of the King of Rome. If the coronation did not excite the same, it was because it had stirred neither the feelings nor the heart of the people, knowing so well that the effect of public opinion had not been such as he had expected. The emperor ordered silence to be maintained on the matter. No description of the ceremony ever appeared in the Moniteur. On the 12th of Brumaire, under the heading of Paris, the editor excused himself on account of the deep feeling which does not allow the mind the necessary freedom to describe in so short a time this magnificent spectacle. And he added, we are busy in the necessary work so as to satisfy, as far as possible, the natural curiosity of our readers. This work proved of such a kind that he abandoned the idea and even undertaking it, and the subscribers to the Moniteur never had their natural curiosity satisfied. In his address from the throne at the opening of the legislative body, the emperor did not make the slightest allusion to the ceremony, and in the account of the position of the empire, the minister of the interior gave a justification rather than an apology for it. From that moment, the publication of the vote, said he, Napoleon has been emperor of the French by the most just of titles. No act was necessary to establish his rights, to consecrate his authority. But he has wished to restore to France her ancient customs, to restore among us those institutions which heaven was thought to have inspired, and to set the seal of religion herself upon the beginning of his new reign, the head of the church, in order to show the French a proof of his fatherly tenderness, had been willing to lend his high office to this august ceremony. To disguise the truth in this way, how much must Napoleon have feared its publication? As a matter of fact, the people were suspicious. Neither the fountains of wine, nor the lottery of 13,000 fowls, nor the illuminations, nor the fireworks aroused them. They cared little for the 150,000 francs paid to the monthly wet nurse agents, which had been in arrears since the 18th of Brumaire of the year 8, and for the 87,000 francs distributed to the poor, not by the members of the hospital boards, but only by the priest. Still less did they care for the 276,600 francs doled out by the minister of the interior in dowries for poor but honest girls who were married in each communal division. All this was provided for and regulated according to the royal custom, which they remembered. And was it not a resuscitation of royalism? Already imperial, the new emperor had decreed a kind of amnesty, which, though certainly limited, was applicable to individuals who had been convicted for misdemeanors and who were now detained only until the payment of their fine and cost to state debtors, whose person were in arrest or sought for, and to non-commissioned officers and soldiers who had deserted to the interior instead of rejoining their regiments at the time appointed. Yet the impression had been as slight as when he had decreed on the 24th of Fructidor the institution of decennial prizes for the best works of every kind, art, science, literature, to be adjudged on the 18th of Brumaire of the year 8. While Napoleon made these paltry gifts to the people, while the plebeians condemned as the accomplices of George Cadoodle were executed with him in the Place de Grève on the 6th of Messidor, the noble friends of the Count d'Artois, the instigators of the plot, had been pardoned. All the princesses, the imperial family, pitied and intervened for them, each making it a point of honor to save a nobleman, and the gentry reappeared. They swarmed the antechambers, which were opened to them by the new Caesar. The households of the emperor, the empress, the princes, and the princesses were composed of nobles. Every day they occupied all the avenues of the palace and stalked around Napoleon in sumptuous liveries. It was they who had benefited by the consecration. They and the old order of things. The French Bourbons, wrote Joseph de Maistre at this time, are certainly not inferior to any other reigning family, but although I think them capable of enjoying royalty, I do not deem them able to reestablish it. Only a usurper of genius has a hand sufficiently firm and strong to do that. His very crimes are of infinite service. For that purpose, there are certain things which legitimate power cannot do. Leave Napoleon to his work. Let him smite the French with his rod of iron. Let him imprison, shoot, and transport all who give him offense. Let him make a sovereignty and imperial highnesses, marshals, hereditary senators, and soon, without doubt, knights of the order. Let him engrave fleurs de lis upon his empty escutcheon. Nothing can be more useful than the transitory accession of Bonaparte, who will hasten his own downfall and reestablish all the foundations of the monarchy without the legitimate prince acquiring the least in popularity. Such must have been the view of some of the cardinals when the Sacred College permitted the journey of Pius VII. Such, at least, was the theory adopted and upheld by the Roman Church. Father Ventura, when officially charged to pronounce the funeral oration over Pius VII, said it was necessary that Bonaparte should be crowned. Pius VII, guided by heavenly wisdom, saw plainly that this coronation, contrary as it might be in one sense to ordinary justice, was demanded by heaven on behalf of a larger and more universal justice, and would turn to the profit of the very persons whose rights it seemingly destroyed. Pius VII did not consecrate the usurpation. He reestablished the sovereignty. He did not set up a new monarchy, but he revived the old to serve as a support and foundation for all others. He did not crown the son of the revolution, but the instrument and the agent of legitimacy.